hey, DOJ, we got the message. You hate real estate. You hate NAR. You hate the industry. Your opinions and your statement of interest just don't feel like they should carry much weight between now and January 20th. This is Byron, Lazine, and Nicole White, and you are tuned into episode 345 of The Real Word.
Word is up.
A holiday edition Real Word, Nicole.
I know, you dragged me in.
I dragged you in on a Tuesday. Come on, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. I think you can hang.
Oh, trust me, my kids were, they were screaming and shouting and did not want to go to school today, even though they have off tomorrow. Mm-hmm.
Wow,
So,
a little gobble there, bleeping out Nicole's.
I know, sorry.
I guess you're already into a little eggnog, I guess, earlier.
I wish. No. It's like the busiest week ever.
We had to do a little emergency pod. I mean, this is a normal release date for the Real Word, but a couple of big news weeks for the Real Word, the last couple of weeks, this week being no different, as the DOJ threw some comments out with today is actually the day, this November 26th date is the day that the settlement, the Sitzer-Burnett settlement, is going to be either approved by the judge, or I guess, all indications are that this settlement, the NAR settlement, is going to be approved.
Right.
Everything I've seen is the judge is going to go forward. They're going to approve that today. Obviously, if that doesn't happen, that would be a shocker. That might be called for, some type of, you might see a live video on the BAM YouTube channel.
Oh, you would love that.
If that would, I don't know that I would love that. I have a pretty busy day, but you would see a live emergency stream if the judge does not approve as expected. So moving forward with,
do we have like an ETA on that?
Before the end of business today, we'll see it. We record this. The decision might be out by the time you're listening to the pod, because we record this usually 10 a.m. on Tuesdays. It goes up, early afternoon as soon as Haley and the team is done with it, and then it goes up. But within the last 48 hours, DOJ threw a last-minute statement of interest specifically about the NAR settlement, okay? So that statement of interest, you can read about it on nowbam.com, was raising concerns about antitrust compliance. The DOJ also flagged issues, Nicole, with buyer-agent agreements, the agreements that we've been told we needed to have in place by August 17th. Many markets, or not many, but there are, a handful of states, about a dozen or more states, that were already buyer agency states, already doing buyer agency agreements. But then you had an entire industry as of August 17th that has been told, hey, we need buyer agent agreements just to be able to go and tour homes, just to be able to, work with a buyer. Those need to be signed up front. Now, the DOJ warned that the settlement may not prevent ongoing antitrust violations, and that these buyer agreements basically could be antitrust violations, which is kind of confusing because we've been told we need these with the settlement. DOJ says, don't really like that part of it. DOJ urged the court to clarify that approving the settlement doesn't grant immunity for future antitrust enforcement actions against NAR. So the DOJ knows this is going to be approved, but they want a disclaimer. They want a little disclosure attached to this approved settlement that is expected today. And the disclaimer being, hey, this settlement, fine, all good and dandy. Attorneys got rich. The community, the agent industry thinks that they have a plan. But the disclaimer would be, you don't have really any plan because you don't have immunity for future antitrust enforcement actions against NAR. The antitrust immunity concerns the filing states. While the court may ultimately find the proposed settlement achieves important concessions in the interest of private actors in this litigation, it satisfies Rule 23E. Such determination does not mean that the proposed settlement effectively prevents or restrains ongoing antitrust violations or remedies past violations, or itself contemplates practices that fully comply with the antitrust laws. What would be the point, Nicole, of doing a settlement without clarity? I mean, we know that we could play the blame game and say, hey, NAR hasn't really thought this through with this DOJ voice that is yet to be heard. We're not going to get into the blame game right now, but
No.
what would be the point of this settlement if DOJ comes and just unwinds everything, or the industry is still open to a lot of litigation?
Right. Well, I'm actually a little surprised that it took them this long to even like sort of chime in. You would have thought that there would have been a little bit more like cahoodling a little here if you really were unhappy with what was not only being presented but what's already been enforced. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I agree. I mean, I mean, don't you usually like? It's like, what is that? Double jeopardy? You know?
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, DOJ hates NAR.
Clearly. Yes.
DOJ hates the real estate industry. DOJ doesn't like real estate agents. Let's just call it what it is. That being said, what will this DOJ look like on January 21st,
Right.
after the president-elect new administration takes over? This current DOJ, we know, is coming for NAR, has been coming for NAR. When, after the Biden administration took office, this DOJ unwound a settlement made in 2019, end of Trump, former Trump administration. Now there'll be a new Trump administration. Don't know what changes or what NAR is going to look like, or I'm sorry, DOJ is going to look like in the new. Will there be a regime change in the DOJ? Is that going to change the temperature as it relates to real estate? That really remains to be seen. We don't even know if that's going to be the case, but we do know that this current version of the DOJ, with really 2 months left of operating, is throwing some confusion into the real estate industry here. And the most confusing part to me is this having an issue with the buyer agreements. Okay. The DOJ has concerns about these buyer agreements. And here's coming out of this statement from them, quoted, "In addition, the new provision meaning the provision that is in the settlement,
Right.
that requires buyers and brokers to make written agreements before home tours, DOJ says may harm buyers and limit how brokers compete for clients." Okay, so these buyer agreements is what the plaintiffs wanted, what
Right.
Ketchmark wanted.
Yes.
DOJ
He
says
thought that it would
may
actually like help the buyer.
help buyers.
Right.
DOJ saying could harm buyers. It also limits how brokers compete for clients. Obviously, more competition in any business, good.
Yep.
Harming buyers, bad. These are things that DOJ is saying, not us, but these are things DOJ is saying about these buyer agreements that now have become customary since August 17th across an industry because of the settlement, which is supposed to be verified today. DOJ goes on to say it bears a close resemblance to prior restrictions among competitors that courts have found to violate the antitrust laws in other proceedings and could limit rather than enhance competition for buyers among buyer brokers. Nicole, do these buyer agreements harm buyers? Do they harm
Well, I
buyers?
mean, I think we've been very clear that they essentially mean nothing, right? Because you can
That's
cancel them at any time. You can decide that you don't want to work with somebody after. I mean, I do think that there is an advantage to having them just so that there's actually a conversation being had when you're meeting with a buyer and what, your obligation is to them, what the buyer's obligation is to you, what you're agreeing to in terms of like how you see this relationship going, which I think is a fine conversation. And again, if a buyer decides to buy and they like them and it works, great. But at the end of the day, they mean nothing. So
they
cool,
mean
you're
nothing in
covered
that.
for that one house, which you should be, but like you have the ability to bail out. I mean, it's very clear in that in the form that you can essentially get out whenever you want. So
Many states are going to go to this. California has. Some states already have as
well,
well.
it's almost like
That
it almost sounds like the DOJ prefers Zillow's, like, what was that? Like a 7-day showing form or a 1-day
the home
showing
tour,
form.
they commented on the home tour as well, and so it it's very confusing right now.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
right, and
when has it not been? Let's be
there was a
honest.
there was this consensus that, oh, when we get into 2025, you're going to know the rules, you're going to be able to move forward. I've been talking about the messy middle for a long time. I know a lot of people are like, oh, put your head down and all this is going to go away. No, we're in the messy middle. Okay, there's a lot of figuring out. And I don't think come January 1, it will be figured out. That's obviously, I think it seems to be pushing further away. When I talked to Rob Hahn at Bam Mania, he thought that the majority of brokers would be adopting a like, hey, we're not going to do buyer broker compensation and, just put it into the offer. I don't think that's going to be the consensus come January 1 either.
Yeah.
I think the confusion, the messy middle is going to get pushed further into 25 than many had hoped. Going to the, harming buyers and going to the current form, and my statement earlier that California has already done this, meaning you can cancel these forms with written notice as a buyer. Okay. So the protection for buyers, I think ultimately is going to come out of this is going to be pretty much a blanket case in most states where a buyer can get out of the form, out of the agreement prior to going under contract at any point with written notice of cancellation. Basically meaning these forms are meaningless other than the fact that it identifies what compensation will look like if buyer chooses to move forward with that buyer agent
Right.
representing them into the transaction once they go into agreement. Okay, that's where the form is important. It's like, hey, once we go into agreement, what's my compensation, or what's my compensation up front, so to speak, if you were going to take some type of consulting fee, which we haven't really seen that. We haven't seen buyers wanting that. We haven't
Right.
seen sellers wanting that. Sellers meaning who are also buying on the other side. So this thought that, hey, there might be consumers that have a thirst for paying a consulting fee out of pocket, that the market wins, and the market doesn't want that. The market hasn't shown any indication. The use of agents is going up, not down. The majority of the far majority of consumers are saying we want the system that basically has always been there. Okay, most consumers outside of the handful of plaintiffs that Ketchmark was able to round up have overwhelmingly stated they want the system that has been in place.
Right.
Now we're trying to come up with a new system. I think Warren Buffett said it best, like, well, the thing wasn't broken. I'm looked at this a million different ways, and there's not really a better fix for it. So DOJ is basically saying, hold on. We want to come up with, other ways to get more lawsuits in there, but not really offering any type
Solution.
of solutions.
Right.
Okay. So, Rob Hahn puts out a tweet. I'd love maybe Haley can put the tweet here. It's this kind of sums up where we're at right now. I think this post on X. Rob says, after posting my subscribers only article on the DOJ statement of interest on the NAR settlement, it occurred to me brokers might be screwed. They can either A, Nicole, force agents to get written agreements prior to showings to comply with the settlement. That's where we're at today.
Mm-hmm.
Then get sued by the DOJ later for antitrust violations. So it's like, you're a broker. Do you advise your agent, hey, go get these things signed?
Right.
Maybe DOJ sues us later for antitrust. Or B, tell the agents or force agents, he writes, not to get written agreements prior to showings. Avoid getting sued by the DOJ down the road, potentially, if DOJ has this type of leverage down the road, which remains to be seen. And then he goes on to say, which means they are not in compliance with the settlement,
Right.
which is going to get approved today, and lose immunity to civil lawsuits. Like, what to do. You're being put in a position, brokers,
Lose.
where you have absolutely no clarity.
None.
NAR, I believe, should come out with a statement today and give some type of clarity against the DOJ statement of interest. Like, once this thing gets settled, NAR should have, if I'm NAR, if I'm the CEO, if I'm I'm getting out on a live press conference right after
Your
the
first class flight with your
court,
wife?
right after,
Yeah.
right after coming out of the beach in Fiji with Leonardo DiCaprio or something. I'm doing a press conference and saying, here's where we stand, brokers. Here's how to move forward.
Yeah.
They won't do that. Their attorneys won't advise them to do that. They'll say nothing. They'll slip into the Thanksgiving holiday drinking, 300. You know what? Do you think the NAR, do you think they drink $300 bottles of wine on Thanksgiving when it's on their tab? They got to imagine the Thanksgiving family wine is on their tab, or only when they're out at dinners and it's on the members tab. What do you think they're drinking on
I
Thursday?
can't even pretend to know.
What do you,
I'm assuming they're probably not even home. I mean, let's vacation, let's globetrot, let's hop on a plane. I mean, we got the funds. Let's go see a play while we're at it.
you can't get that one through on
On
Thanksgiving
Thanksgiving?
holiday travel. No, can't get that one through. All right, so that's the recap. I think the settlement gets approved today. I think that brokers are in a very difficult spot. DOJ has just made the middle even messier. Many expected this to happen, that the DOJ would create a mess. They have. Now we'll see what the DOJ, I'm really looking forward to what the DOJ is saying, what their statement of interest look like post January 20. I don't care what the DOJ says between now and January 20th. I don't believe anything's going to happen coming from the DOJ between now that's substantial. We're in a lame duck session. So, hey, DOJ, we got the message. You hate real estate. You hate NAR. You hate the industry. Your opinions and your statement of interest just don't feel like they should carry much weight between now and January 20th. These are the statements in February of 25, paying very close attention at that point.
Yeah.
It means it's something that the administration cares about. This is just how I'm looking at it forward. And at that point, it's like, okay, we need to figure this out. Right now, lame duck DOJ, not as focused, but certainly making the middle a lot messier. Brokers have decisions to make. Nicole, just speaking of the drinks, though, what's going to be your drink on Thanksgiving?
I mean, it's always the same drink. I drink the same thing every time I drink.
You're just sticking with just vodka?
No, yeah, of course, a good old 𝐷𝐸 every time. Yes, always. All right. How about you? What do you got?
So drop in the comments if you're on YouTube what your go-to. I mean, I do a Clamato bloody in the morning.
In the morning?
Or in the early part of the Thanksgiving day.
Yeah.
In the early part
You're waking up with a cocktail in your hand. Okie doke.
Clamato, which Clamato Bloody Mary would have a little,
yep.
Little Ramsgate Chardonnay at some point there. Okay. My parents will do a toast with this this eggnog to my mom's father, and they do that every year. So maybe a little eggnog, but a little Chardonnay from Ramsgate, not of the $300 bottle variety, but a very good Chardonnay.
We're really mixing a lot of liquors in here, because then won't you do a dirty later on?
I won't do a dirty, probably not.
No, not on Thanksgiving.
I had enough martinis on vacation at.
I mean, I don't believe that. There's never
the
enough.
Greatest. If you follow me on Instagram, I actually posted it. The single greatest martini on planet Earth.
I didn't see any of your stories.
I only posted a couple, but I did post that one with the sidecar of extra martini on ice. Listen, the Extra Virgin, which is a restaurant in St. John. Nicole's been there.
I've been there, and they give you the most beautiful. And it's funny because now I buy it every time. The honeycomb with that.
That's an appetizer.
Yes.
I'm focused on the martini.
I'm sorry, I didn't have the martini.
Oh my God.
I'm not a martini.
So
I'm not an olive girl.
But I did have the honeycomb. It's like you're eating a bee's.
It's just lovely.
Nest.
Yeah. A nest. I mean, it's definitely not a nest, but
not a nest, but
the comb.
Like home.
Yes.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
It's good.
All right.
Anyway.
I hope everybody has a great
Happy
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
More confusion. We'll cover it. We'll see what happens. Obviously, with any responses today, we'll probably get, follow me on X or something, but we'll comment on them and probably cover them on next week's pod. Nicole, hope you have a great Thanksgiving as well.
You too. Thank you.
And
we'll see you guys next time.
See you guys all soon.
Yeah.
Keep it real.
See you guys.
Agents looking to stand out from the crowd and from the marginal agent, Reminder Media is a resource you need to check out. You get your own branded print and digital magazines, email newsletters, and social media content. Reminder Media delivers these resources to your contacts on autopilot, keeping you top of mind with your database. All you need to do is focus on your relationships and your follow-ups and watch referrals and repeat business come in. My team uses the service where we do over 500 transactions a year. 50% of those transactions come from people we know, and we stay top of mind with Reminder Media. Use the link down below to try Reminder Media. At BAMX, we listen to what real estate professionals want and need. That's why our platform is filled with sought-after courses, content, and tactical assets for your business. And that's why we launched BAMX in a box with templates and scripts done for you, delivered each Friday. The best part? It's not coming from panel pontificators who bought their followers and don't sell any real estate. It's coming from top agents, team leaders, and content creators in the industry. It's education that actually shows you how to do what you need in today's market. And now it includes editable templates and scripts so you can easily deliver that knowledge to your database. Every day, we continue to add more content into BAMX, into our private Facebook community, content that works, content that our members have exclusive access to daily. So do not wait any longer. Use code REALWORD and join the thousands of agents taking their business to the next level today. Code REALWORD for 10% off. I'll see you in BAMX.